There it is.
All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
All right. It is 2025. Welcome back to Reds Country Radio Season 7.
Wow.
We are hopefully finally going to give you a podcast during a winning and playoff winning baseball season. The hype and the spring hope springs eternal, as they say, right? So
there you go.
There you go.
Spring training is underway. The games begin this weekend. I'm Donnie. We're going to get into it. Steve, Rob, how you boys doing?
I'm doing well, guys. I'm doing well. It's been a long time coming. Excited for baseball season. The snow's on the ground here in Cincinnati, but they're playing baseball out in Arizona right now. First day of spring training. Let's get after it.
Yeah, the bats are cracking nearby. Goodyear's about an hour away from me, but all the reporters are on the way here. And Don, I've heard that you are going to be joining me out here in beautiful Arizona for at least one spring training game.
That's right, Steve. What is it, about 3 weeks away? Yeah, I will be flying out to Arizona for work, and I'm coming a day early. And you are graciously taking some PTO. We're going to go watch some baseball. I'm very excited about it.
You asked me to see if I could get off. I was like, man, just taking off for a baseball game on a Wednesday, I'm doing it. Now, no one from work is going to listen to this, so they don't know. But
there you go. Hey, your PTO is yours to do with as you please.
That's right. Exactly. So we're looking forward to it, man. But yeah, I was just thinking about it right before we started. But yeah, this is officially season 7 of Reds Country Radio. We started podcasting in about 2019 when we were fresh with, technically 2018, but I like to count us as seasons because we come and go as the Red seasons come and go. And it has been 7 years now, or 7 seasons now. We started in December of 2018 as we were all fresh-faced and just off the Viva the Cats Barstool beat. And now we're still rolling, and we have not seen a Reds playoff game victory in the span of this podcast. So I think that's
maybe we're the problem, Steve.
Maybe.
It is entirely possible. I have thought about putting I will end the page if we don't win or we come back. I don't know. It's fun. So I'm not really trying to do anything too crazy, but yeah, pretty cool, man. That we've had all 3 of us here for our 7th season now.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, it should be a good one. I got pretty hyped today seeing the clips of Hunter Green and Ellie De La Cruz facing off. Did you see the quote from Hunter after Ellie got a line drive on a really good pitch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, if I'm not mistaken, I remember the first podcast we did, I believe we were talking about the Reds' odds to land Yasiel Puig. That's what we were talking about then.
Yeah, man, and it's crazy how much has changed. I feel like the team has a lot of talent. I think they made some great moves this offseason, which we're going to get into. Basically didn't give up anything, I would say, of value, and upgraded everywhere they did give up something. Hashtag get crawled. It's a weird year. We didn't cover much during this offseason as a podcast. There was plenty of activity on Twitter, of course, or X, the Everything app. But I'd love to get into, deep dive on our thoughts on the Reds offseason. I think given that, they're not the Dodgers like all the other teams in the league except for the Dodgers, and the best players are going to go to the Dodgers. That's that. There's nothing else to say there. Then maybe the Mets, and then it's everyone else kind of fighting for the rest. And I think with what we were given, I think the Reds did a great job. So, Steve, you want to lead us to get into that?
Yeah. So, by the way, that quote you asked for, Don, was Hunter versus Ellie round 4 and their final at bat, and Ellie had a soft liner to left field, and Hunter said, "How the f does it still go that far?" So, and Ellie, by the way, had a great quote. By the way, his English has improved light years, since even last year when he was still relatively good. He might be speaking it better than me now, so maybe we'll have to have him on I'll try and get him on the pod and let's see what he says. But
well, Steve, he's you're approaching 30. He's taken an English class a lot more recently than you have, I imagine.
That is entirely fair. So credit to him, but no discredit to me. And then his other quote to Joe Daneman this today, because they had his like press junket, and there was just a lot of cameras on him today, which was cool. But he said we're going to do something special this year. So I'm really liking the vibes out of camp right now. I know it's early, haven't done early anything, but a great speech from TITO apparently this morning with the whole team there. Like he's Terry Francona's talked about just how great like the vibe is around camp. So it's been great, man. And I do want to talk about that, as we're wrapping up the offseason, really about to see some ball played this week as we speak by players wearing Reds uniforms. I want to talk about the best offseason move that the Reds made this winter. So I gave you guys this prompt a little bit before we started the show, and I offered to pick one. So Rob, I want to go to you first. What is your pick for?
So I'm going to start from the very top. Right after the season ended on October 3rd, the Cincinnati Reds hired Terry Francona as their next manager. Brings a winning pedigree with him to the ball club. 23 seasons, sports a .538 winning percentage. Coach managed for 3 teams. He got to start with the Philadelphia Phillies. From there he went on to the Boston Red Sox. We all know the success he had with the Red Sox, winning 2 World Series. Then on to Cleveland for the Indians and Guardians. Took the then Indians to the World Series in 2016 against the Chicago Cubs. We all know how that ended. But I believe Terry Francona brings a winning pedigree that has been sorely missed in the Reds clubhouse. This is by far the best managerial hire I think I've ever seen them make in my lifetime of watching Reds baseball. I think the results are going to speak for themselves. It's got the fan base hyped up. The players are hyped up. To kind of build off what you said earlier, Steve, he was at his team meeting this morning. I read a line on X today that Brent Suter said it was the best preseason speech he's ever heard in his career. How long has he been playing in the big leagues? Over 10 years, I imagine. This hiring has given the fan base a lot of life and a lot of renewed optimism, and I'm excited to see where this goes. Go ahead, Don.
No, yeah, I'll echo that first. I mean, it's still almost surreal to me, and it was surreal all winter that Terry Francona was going to manage Cincinnati Reds. It just doesn't compute in my brain almost. Taking a year off to focus on his health, and I think he's coming back like even better. As healthy as he's been in a long time. Relative to his age. And I'm really excited to see the brand of baseball the team plays for him. I think it's a little bittersweet because I did like David Bell, and I think the players liked him too. And a lot of those young players, honestly, didn't really know any different. So, of course, they liked their manager, and they felt like he was a great manager. But I think playing for a guy like Terry Francona after a few seasons with David Bell is going to be like, oh, okay, this guy knows his shit. This is a baseball manager. This guy is for real. And no discredit to David Bell. I think he did a great job with what he was given. A lot of it really, his record wasn't great. Man, a lot of that was not his fault. But I'm very excited to move into the Terry Francona era.
Yeah, it has the reputation of being kind of a player's manager, and everyone, if you've paid attention to baseball in the last, 30 years or whatever, you know that. He comes to Cincinnati with some previous history. He played for the Reds in 1987 when Pete Rose was the manager. I got his 1987 stats pulled up here. He was a negative .9 WAR player in 102 games. The Reds sported a .227 batting average. He hit 3 home runs. And I believe one of those home runs came on opening day.
Nice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
I've never seen that clip making rounds on Twitter right after they hired him.
Would that have been did he play for Pete Rose?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he talked about that in his press conference, like how much he admired Pete Rose. It was shortly after Pete had passed.
Right.
When they made the hire. So that was kind of emotional, I guess, to hear him talk about his love for Pete Rose. And I didn't really know this. Marty Brenneman was kind of the guy that greased the skids to get the hiring process started. I didn't realize that him and Marty were friends. Like, it doesn't surprise me, but that's just like one connection like I didn't really make.
Yeah, I don't know. I can see why. Like, I mean, because the Reds and Indians now Guardians share a complex in Goodyear for a long time. Like, probably didn't have much crossover with Francona before that. But then I kind of wonder if that little pairing there, and then Marty goes down and would see him. Now he's retired. You just go down and see Terry. By the way, Tucson native and a fan of the Arizona Wildcats, my wife's school. So that was cool to see him in some U of A gear. They're like my third school now. But anyway, it's cool to have like that guy. And I think you could probably call both David Bell and Terry Francona player managers, but there's something about Terry where he's still a player's manager, but he will I don't think he's afraid to let guys know, hey, I'm going to be hard on you, but I'm going to respect you. I think and then, if David Bell were to ever get into managing again, I think that's a lesson he could probably take just from that standpoint. I don't know if he ever will, but I think it's something that, Kevin Millar still has so much love for Terry Francona, and the guy played for him 21 years ago. And that's just speaks to the kind of effect that Terry Francona has on his players. So, it's just really exciting to at least have him in camp. I know, he's a little bit older and I already left a managerial position once. So that's a future problem. Right now, I'm just worried about winning ball games. So, and I think this is a great setup for a great season, because I think the talent was there for the Reds last year and obviously the year before. But now you've got a guy who can has been in the fire and knows how to get the best out of, a position of not as much salary as, like you mentioned earlier, Don, like the Dodgers. The Guardians have never really competed with the Reds on salary, maybe a little bit lower, or about the same level. But it's just the amount of talent that the Reds have. I don't really know if the Guardians ever had that either. I know they had some great teams and such, and maybe I'm just blaspheming there. I know they had Lindor and stuff, but they never had Ellie De La Cruz. So I just so excited to see Tito manage this team.
And the fact that he came out of retirement to manage this team is just a testament to the young talent they have right now. He's got a lot of good pieces to work with, in my opinion, starting with Ellie De La Cruz, moving over like Matt McClain, Spencer Steer, and those guys. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be exciting, man. I can't wait.
Hell yeah. Yeah, the Francona move, even though it wasn't a player personnel move, was definitely the marquee move of the offseason. But then the first big trade we made was shipping out kind of fan favorite Jonathan India. I'm going to get to my best offseason move. It's actually not this, but it's kind of all combined. John India is a player I defended a lot. I think my fault as a baseball fan is I get a little too attached to players sometimes, and I want, unlike these Twitter nerds on that just keep fantasizing about all the players we're going to sign and kick all our favorite players to the curb as long as we can upgrade and pretending we're the Dodgers when we aren't. And so I say, hey, let's believe in these young guys we bring in. I was a little too committed to Nick Senzel, maybe Scott Schebler back in the day. That was my guy. And I felt the same way about John India, but he really is what he is. And he's a 1.5 WAR player who's also approaching 30, and we moved on from him. We shipped him off with another guy I was hoping could have worked out here, Joey Weimer, former UC Bearcat, who did he play 2 games at the
I don't even think
MLB
he got an
level?
at bat. He got I think he got one
He
at bat.
got a couple at bats, I thought.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he got a couple at bats, and then he mostly just pinch ran and was a defensive replacement.
Yeah, and then back to AAA for him. So we shipped out Joey Weimer and John India for Brady Singer, from the Kansas City Royals. Really solid pitcher. This past season, he had a 3.1 WAR. He's been a little inconsistent, though. He had a 4.5 WAR in 2022, but 0.3 in 23. Overall, he's had a really solid career, and he's just 28 years old. For a pitcher, I think that's prime. And I was against this move initially because I felt, one, my attachment to India, and two, I didn't really think we needed starting pitching. I looked down. We'll get into it in a little bit later, but I think we have a lot of young, talented starting pitching, and I was like, oh, who's this going to push out? It is Martinez still have a spot in the rotation? Is Ashcraft for sure going to be a reliever now? Is there a spot for Rhett Lauder? Which we'll get into my Rhett Lauder take, but I angered some of the Twitter nerds online with my Rhett Lauder take as well. But we learned last season, though, you can never have too much starting pitching. And Brady Singer will be a great addition to the team. I'm excited to see how that goes. I also appreciate though that he's not coming in with the expectation of being a number one guy. I don't know if that affected Frankie Montas at all, but I thought that, still looking back, I think that was odd that he, coming back from injury and kind of coming back from kind of rebuilding his career a little bit, was expected to be our opening day starter ahead of Hunter Green. I'm glad that's not going to be the case this year. Have they officially announced that Hunter Green's going to?
No, but that's obviously the assumption, right?
Sure.
So I would imagine it's going to be Hunter.
So anyway, my long-winded best offseason move is kind of retooling the infield, actually. So kind of you could even say you could throw in Matt McLean coming back. He's going to be your starting second baseman probably. That alone is an upgrade over India if you were considering him your second baseman. And then we went out and got Gavin Lux, and that is the spark plug offensive player that I think is the best offseason move that we made. He is a year younger than India. He's had kind of higher highs. He's dealt with injury, but I think he's healthy now. And he's a real solid player. I'm excited to see him hit in Great American consistently. I'm excited to see how he moves around the infield. I think he'll play a little bit of second base. He'll play a little bit of third base. He'll DH. And they might try him in the outfield. I think he's athletic enough and adaptable enough and wants to win. And he's a more versatile player for sure than India. And really, in some of the other guys that are in the infield aren't going to move, like Matt McLean and Ellie, of course, probably stuck at second and short. So it's kind of up to the rest of the team to move around. And I think he's going to be a great fit for that. I bet they even try him out at first base here and there. If he's a guy that can play the corner infield, why not? It's good to have all that flexibility. I think that's a hallmark of this team. And I'm really excited to see him put up a great season. This is the kind of player that we bring in. I feel like we bring in these offensive players that are supposed to be spark plugs, but they're usually on like 31, 32 and kind of hoping to revive their career a little bit. And that's not the case for Gavin Lux at all. I mean, if the Dodgers weren't just going out and signing all of the best players possible, any team would be trying to build around him. The fact that we were able to get him for pretty much nothing. What was the Gavin Lux trade? It was
an international prospect who played in the DSL and was like 18 last year.
Right,
and it was literally just to free up for the Dodgers to free up no, actually it was two different moves. My bad. It was like a double-A pitcher.
That's right. So essentially we gave up nothing there, I would say. And then in the other trade, we basically got Brady Singer for next to nothing because John India really didn't have a spot on the team. So that's my hashtag get crawled moment, is the massive upgrade in the infield, replacing John India for free essentially with Gavin Lux and throwing in a number 3 starting pitcher on top of that. That's pretty cool. And it's not quite as flashy when you look on paper. It probably didn't quite make the national news, any of those moves really. It's not signing the big Japanese free agent. It's not going out and getting Juan Soto. But I think, actually, I will say we did get some respect from the talking heads out there that we had a great offseason. And I know a lot of that was Terry Francona based. But I think when you look at those moves individually and kind of, or in aggregate and kind of how they all fit together, offensively, I think we made a lot of improvements and we gave up nothing for it. And I'm excited about that too, because I think we still have a great farm system.
Seems like the theme of the team this year is going to be versatile position players and deep pitching.
Yeah.
Terry Francona, baby.
That's Francona.
That's the ball he played with Cleveland. And then, I mean, a little bit with the Red Sox too, but obviously they just had David Ortiz, and you can't really move David Ortiz around too much. But and that was also 20 years ago. Positional flexibility was not really as much of a thing, but with Cleveland, that was kind of Tito's MO. So I do like it. Now, my only thing I would push back on Lux, Don, is that when you compare India and Lux straight up, now Lux has played a little bit longer than India, but obviously not been as available. Lower OPS plus, lower career on batting average and on base percentage. Am I being harsh there? Possibly, because Jonathan India won a Rookie of the Year award. Gavin Lux does overall have more WAR on Baseball Reference, and I would probably argue too that he was not really getting enough run in LA to get a chance to play every day, and maybe his numbers would look better. So I think it's like you're probably catching a player on the upswing and trading away a player potentially on the downswing with the Lux for India, just basically swap. So I do like it. I just want to see if he is going to play every day. And right now, Fangraphs roster resource has him as our everyday DH, which is interesting. I think he can still be I would want to see if he can play some third, just because I don't know if you want to have Jamer at third every day, just depending on his defense, how he starts the year at least. And I don't know if Noelvi's going to make the team out of camp. So there's a lot of different flexibility there. I'm going to go look and see if Lux has ever played third, because I should probably check that before just saying it on a podcast that millions and millions of people listen to.
I'm pretty sure I looked this up earlier in the year. I think he has like one career game at third base where he played like 7 in a third inning and committed like 2 errors or something like that.
Nice.
I remember pulling that stat up earlier this year.
Okay.
But I don't recall it like exactly. I can look again though.
You're right. Yeah, he played 1 game of third base in 2021. Yep. So I mean, like, he played a lot of shortstop, and like, but he's mostly been a second baseman. But just from
a decent amount of outfield too.
Yeah, but like from camp at least, they have not really been putting him or McLean in the outfield. And right now, and we can talk about this later about outfield stuff, but it's just interesting to see where those guys end up playing, because I know that was a concern with the Twitter nerds that Jamer was not a very good defender, but Jamer Candelario is the only guy where I don't want to look at his WAR. I'm just looking at the 20 home runs and 25 doubles he had last year, and that is enough for me, honestly. So if we'll talk about him later, but if Gavin Lux can at least provide something every day, I'm all for it.
You know, you're right, Steve. Looking at his stats, they do look a little similar, kind of at a high level, and maybe it is a defensive difference. I mean, John India is one of the worst defenders in the entire MLB. So you're getting an upgrade there, even if we're talking about our DH. I think that still is valuable, because he's, anybody's going to play a lot in the field. And, I don't know, new faces, fresh start. I think John India is going to probably have a nice fresh start in Kansas City, and then the same for Gavin Lux. Kind of like you're saying too. I mean, he's never really had a chance to be a truly everyday guy, and maybe he's not quite that here, but he'll have the chance to at least be able to stand out more, rather than being surrounded by guys making $50 million a year. So,
the trade for Lux for Singer worked out too, because the Royals were essentially looking for a leadoff hitter / second baseman that we had that was expendable. We were looking for a pitcher that was durable, and that's what Brady Singer was. And it made sense for both teams to make that trade.
So even if you say Gavin Lux and India are similar value, then you got Brady Singer for free. So.
Yeah, and Lux has a better glove than India.
Right. Yeah, completely fair. Just to wrap it up real quick, this is my best offseason move was a man that we are all pretty familiar with, as he did play with the Reds last year. But Nick Martinez is back with the Reds, accepted his 1-year qualifying offer for $21 million. This was a guy, when they signed Pagan and Martinez basically on the same day last year, that I think a lot of people thought Pagan was going to be more of the immediate impact signing than Martinez, but Martinez did literally everything you asked him to last year, and he did it well and without getting hurt. So I see him staying in the rotation all year. I see him being like a 4, possibly 3 starter for this team, because he's such an interesting guy to me. He calls his own pitches. He calls his own game. He's such like a pitching nerd, and he knows exactly how he wants to attack hitters and how he wants to get guys out. And I love having that guy just on our staff too, just for like the other guys to just talk with. So, and he was really probably our best starter last year. I'd say Hunter was definitely, Hunter was probably better, but Martinez, like, for the limited amount of starts he made, he was probably our second best guy. He was really good. And I want to see what a full year of him starting looks like, because he can really win us some ball games this year if he really comes out and pitches like he did from about August to end of September last year. He was really cooking once he was confirmed as a full-time starter and not piggybacking back and forth. And even in his outing from the bullpen, he was good. But I think having him as that 3 or 4 starter is just going to be huge for this team.
Absolutely. Yeah, his final stretch down the end in the last kind of month of the year was so impressive, and that honestly, that was one of the big reasons I was against going out and getting a starter in general, because I did not want him to lose his spot. I wanted to make sure we keep him. He was so much fun to watch. His excitement, his energy out there. We need guys like that.
And he chose to come back for another year. I think it says a lot too about the team they're hiring and what they're trying to do here this season, at least.
He definitely loves the team, and it wasn't just a love the manager thing. He loves. I think he loved the team we had built around him. I think it's pretty good.
Okay, so real quick, in the months of June, July, and September, so May he was good too. But so he started games in August and September, and in 5 starts in September/October, 0.83 ERA, like 4 wins, 1 loss, like that's
insane.
Literally, like the probably one of the best pitchers in baseball in September. So I'm all for seeing him, and like every third day, I want to give him the ball and let him work.
Yeah. So,
or every 5th day. Sorry, he's the 4th. I was like every
You're
third.
On college
day.
baseball, Steve.
Yep. I got to get off that. Not really, but
no, that's good. Were there any other big signings you think are going to impact the roster? There's a few random kind of relievers that we added. Tyler Rogers, I think, is an interesting one, although he's a little older. Austin Hayes, I think, could make an impact in the outfield. He's had a couple solid seasons.
Yeah, I saw a projection where they had Austin Hayes as their starting left fielder. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, what does the outfield look like? Who's in the mix there right now?
So on roster resource, we have Jake Fraley in right, TJ Friedl leading off and playing center, and then Austin Hayes in left field. So that's against right-handed pitchers. Now, when you switch it to lefties, you would probably sit down Fraley, and then they have Santiago Espinal as the what am I talking about?
Spencer
Stewart Fairchild. As our lefty masher is going to go in there, obviously on days when lefties start. So Stu's our guy. We love Stu. I feel bad for even forgetting that he was still like in our orbit, and I'm going to admonish myself for the next 2 minutes. So I'm taking a penalty. Go ahead and keep talking.
Hell yeah, Stu's the man. Did he get married this offseason? Did he and that lovely TikTok girl finally? I don't know. Anyway, Spencer Steer, of course, still in the mix. Reese Hines. It'd be interesting to see if he can put it together and make a roster. TJ Friedl, Jake Fraley. It feels like they have a lot of Will Benson if he turns it around.
Beeman.
They've got all these guys that are like pretty good and have had flashes of being really good, flashes of being all-star level. Now, this is the same thing we talked about with pitching a second ago, and it's always the answer is always, well, you end up getting more injuries than you expect, and it's never bad to have a depth problem. But do you think maybe these guys are the kind of players that need to play every day and are going to be worse off for being in a platoon or being maybe not even on the roster when they should be? There's probably like 6 outfielders that could be in the mix for regular playing time. And, are they worse off if they're not playing every day?
I think it depends who it is. Like, I think somebody like Will Benson, he should be playing almost every day in Louisville, in my opinion. I think the Fraley Fairchild platoon, I think that's going to be somewhat effective. It showed flashes last year that it was. I think Jake Fraley's just going to have a bounce back season in general, considering all the off the field issues he was dealing with his, I believe, daughter. And I can't imagine the emotional strain and stress I had to put on him. Like, can imagine they do that. Do that in your like regular 9-to-5 life. Compound that being a Major League Baseball player, and that's having different expectations. The Austin Hayes signing I really liked. I'm expecting him to have a bounce back year after missing basically all of last year with it was like kidney infection, they said, or like a blood infection.
Yeah, that's right.
By the way, I found Stuart Fairchild and Hannah Randall's registry. So if anyone else wants to go out and find it and give them something nice, feel free to. There's a lot of
There
good
you
stuff
go.
on here. And it's November 7th, 2025. So after the Reds,
So they got engaged,
nice,
is what I saw.
There you go.
And so after the Reds make a nice playoff run, Stu and his lovely fiance can get married. So,
There you go.
But yeah, I love having Stu on the team, and he's just been like he's really stepped up. And I know he was a former Reds prospect, kind of spent some time on some other teams, but he's kind of really come into his own in his last 2 years here. So I've been really happy to have him back. And I think it's those 4 guys, and then Santiago Espinal is your 5th guy, who can play both infield and outfield.
Man, I forget he's on the roster.
Yeah, it's another guy you just kind of.
I'm glad we brought him back. He was a fun player last year. Obviously, he had a stretch last year where he was the hottest player in baseball.
Yeah, he was crushing it. So he's still got like 2 options. So he's still like under contract for a good while. So he might be here for a little bit, and like he's just a solid guy that you're going to keep around for a while. So just to reach back on that. I do like having Will. Obviously, Will's our guy. We love I have the bobblehead of Beeman in my room in the guest room here, displayed with prominence. But it's just been too inconsistent with Will, and I think once you get him, that full amount of playing time, and this is kind of his chance, in camp, and then if he does not make the team in Louisville, to really show. Like if he's still a major leaguer, he got 2 full years of run basically, and he was able to do a couple good things here, but it wasn't consistent enough, right? Where you had to say that guy is locked down a roster spot, like he can't be taken out, So I like the guy, and I like his personality, I like who he is, but I think he needs to be a more consistent player. Maybe trade some of the power for more. Line drives and doubles. I know that's hard to say, obviously, when you're facing a guys who throw 100 or 89 on a nasty curve or slider. But I think if he can just become more consistent and get him on the base pass too. He was an underrated base stealer for the Reds last year.
Oh, yeah. So, he runs like a deer.
Yeah. So I think it's those 2 items. And then if his fielding could just get a little bit better, like I'm no professional baseball player. You can probably figure that out from me being on a podcast, but it's like I've just seen Stu. Not Stu. Stu's good. I've seen Will just in the corner sometimes, just having trouble like digging out a ball, and that like those couple seconds in major league games will probably cost you a base, maybe cost you a run. So like the example that comes to mind is when there was a game in Arizona here a couple of years ago where Corbin Carroll hit a ball down like the right field line, and Will was trying to dig it out, and that got Corbin a third, and he scored like first inning run right away. So I think if those 2 things can be improved with Will in everyday playing time, he's probably the first guy you call up if someone unfortunately gets hurt and is not able to play.
Do you think there's a possibility that he could be traded, considering that he's been traded once already by a Terry Francona regime?
Terry Francona just hates this guy, wants him off the team, bad influence. I would hope not, just because I think he's shown, and the couple of those flashes, that he can be a good productive player, but he's just, like I said, he's just got to be more consistent. So if you get to like the trade deadline and he's not really doing anything, maybe you try to get, just give him that opportunity to go somewhere else, and just let the player get some playing time. But right now, if the Reds are trying to win ball games, I don't think you can have Will Benson as at late year 2024 Will Benson on the team to start the year.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I didn't even think about him starting in Louisville, but that makes a lot of sense, honestly. He was rapidly approaching the player I irrationally support, and last year put a little damper on that. But I still have my Will Benson jersey. It's a black jersey, so I'll still wear it to all the Friday games. But I hope he turns it around more than anyone. And man, season to season, things change crazy. Off seasons can change a lot, both in the positive and the negative. We've been disappointed in the past and pleasantly surprised. So there's probably a guy on here that we're hardly mentioning that's going to have a breakout year or get back to form. And I mean, that's baseball. It's kind of a random game, and there's a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of just getting hot at the right time. And I'm excited to see how it all sorts out. But yeah, they've got a lot of depth there, and the cream should rise to the top.
Don, I want to rain on your black jersey parade, but I hear they're not doing those every home Friday game this year.
No, damn.
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter.
I imagine they'll still wear them here and there, right? It's not like are we due for another jersey soon already, or
Not this year.
Is it next year?
It would be next year, likely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just because the Dodgers are already on their second one. So we would probably, I would imagine it would be like another version of this of the one we have, but just like, I don't know, like all red or something like that. So
interesting.
I kind of like the black though. I kind of wish they would keep it.
Black is awesome.
Yeah, I like the black.
It's been good and like people love it too. And
we've had some great moments in the black.
Yeah. Those Friday night games have been a lot of fun. I'm wearing my Ellie De La Cruz jersey with the City Connect logo right now. So
well, and if we were to get another City Connect jersey, that doesn't like eliminate the previous one, right? You could still mix it in occasionally.
So and this is my uniform nerd speaking. Here.
True.
So it's a 4+1 deal, so they could probably add it as like a full-time alternate, teams only have 4 uniforms max, like, because the Diamondbacks of like 2019 had like 7 different uniforms that they wore like throughout the season. So I don't think Nike wanted to do that, so they limit it to 4, and then you get one. You get the City Connect as well.
So they get the white, the gray, the red, and
like they could do like those, like the city, like either like a throwback, a consistent throwback, which I would love to see. I would love for throwbacks to happen, or if you do, like do the black jersey. I would want them to kind of bring back, like, you guys know the jerseys that like they wore for batting practice, but then never wore in games, where it's like it's an all black jersey and like with the red numbers on the back, and then the red.
I have one of those.
Yeah. Like the Mr. Red logo. Yeah.
Like that's tough. Like I would want those back, but I would love to keep the black jerseys within the rotation.
Well, we just need a uniform update in general, and I just feel like it's never going to happen. So if anything, these black jerseys are just new, just generally. So I want to keep wearing them, just so it's not wearing those same white and gray with the piping and feeling like you're in 2007 again.
Yeah, it's we have not won anything in these, but the certain people who instituted them want to keep them for whatever reason. So
sure, I'm sure maybe it's an expense thing. They're notoriously willing to shell out the money, huh?
Yes, they are. That's right.
Yeah, but I saw a tweet on X the other day that they weren't wearing the City Connects for every Friday home game now. I'm not sure what the reason was, but I saw it a couple days ago.
Interesting.
Well, maybe they'll wear them decently as often and just like have a little more discretion over when they
wear them on the road.
That'd be cool.
Oh man, that would be awesome.
The black jersey on like gray pants would look pretty sick, honestly.
That'd be cool.
It's only select Friday home games. You're right.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
That was from Lance McAllister 3 months ago. Or no, it was your girl, Rob, Sarah Elise.
There it is.
All Friday home games.
Sarah Elise, breaking news. I need her to stop screaming into the mic at Bearcats basketball home games. It's crazy that she hasn't gotten better at that in her long, illustrious career. Anyway, we support women in media.
Good job, Don. There you go.
There we go.
That's right. Speaking of, Steve, I think you mentioned this, the Reds broadcast team coming back in the weird fashion that they are.
Minus Andy Sabo.
I'm disappointed by that. I'm going to save my take there. I thought she was great, and I'm not just saying that as a straight man. I thought she actually did a really good job. So hopefully I don't know if they're bringing in someone new and cheap, but or just going with the staff they have. But
we have not heard any other further updates. That I would imagine they'll try and just have Giesenslaw do it. And like, no offense to him, but I'm just like, I kind of appreciated Annie a little bit more because I don't really I feel like I've been watching Brian Giesenslaw since I was 6. So true. I think I'm like, Jim Day still changes it up and like brings some fun, but like there's definitely been some guys that have been there forever, and I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm good.
Bring Charlie Walter back.
And her connection was cool too, because she was like Chris Sabo's daughter, and I was also a little biased too, because she like went to Michigan and was a Michigan fan, so like I enjoyed that.
So as you can imagine, the Reddit was alive with the talk about this one. But apparently she just moved back to Florida and obviously is like raising her first child. Husband's a tennis player, so there's multiple different circumstances. I don't know if it was just the Reds like not re-signing her,
might have
maybe
been neutral.
Because they're all on like 1 year contracts mostly. So
right.
it might have been mutual. She might have stepped away, but it was sad to see her go.
I thought the whole thing was kind of bizarre, where they said we're going to go to like our own like produced broadcast for games, and it's like, oh wait, a month later, we're going back to FanDuel. We just signed a 1 year contract. Just kidding.
Yeah. So
I look forward to tracking the FanDuel same game parlay all season and seeing how.
Shout out to Reds Daily 4 on X. He knows about that. But so the interesting thing to me, and I definitely like got a little bit over my skis with the anger when that announcement happened, because I thought the games were going to be blacked out. But so it seems like, and people have been posting on the Reds Reddit about just the subscription. So it's going to be $20 a month if you don't have it on your cable package to watch the Reds if you live in market, and you can buy a streaming subscription. And I just want to hear from you boys, like, I don't know if you've dealt with your parents or, like older people in your life who are trying to like access media and television or anything like that. Like, I respect that the Reds obviously are trying to get the most money and trying to put some money in this team. And I think that was kind of what led to the Austin Hayes signing, able to bring in Taylor Rogers. Like there's a couple different things that led to that. And that was definitely like an influx of cash that maybe the Reds did not have. But I'm more just from a fan standpoint, like I feel bad for future me, and then all of my aunts and uncles or whoever that is trying to just watch the games but does not have access to Bally and is trying to like load, or now FanDuel, and try to like load up like the subscription. So my hope is that the streaming service has gotten a lot better than what it was a few years ago, because it was consistently awful.
It was garbage.
Yeah. So, but Rob, you have personal experience with this. You've been watching the Blue Jackets this year on FanDuel, and you've said that the streaming service has gotten much better, right?
Oh, it is miles better than what it was a couple of years ago. But yeah, me and my buddy Jacob, shout out to him. Him and I split the FanDuel package to watch Blue Jackets games this year. The app doesn't it would randomly crash out a couple of years ago. I'd have to it got so bad where the app would crash out. I'd have to delete the app off my TV, then re-download it and re-sign in with everything. I have not had to do that yet with the new version of the FanDuel app that's out now. So I think that is going to be very beneficial to Reds country, all the fans in Reds country who are watching the game via that route. Because just a couple years ago, the app was crap, but now I think it's gotten a lot better. And I have not had a single issue with it so far during hockey season, at least.
Yeah, that happened to me all the time with the Bally Sports app. That thing was terrible. But I had to use the app because I'm logged into my parents' cable. And so, the cable heads out there are still getting the Reds games. My 86-year-old grandmother watches every single game on her cable. And hopefully she'll be able to keep doing that. It's almost like it's the in-between generation, like our parents' level. If they have abandoned their cable, maybe they're having trouble. But it's also like I have a lot of friends that haven't been watching many Reds games over the years because they switched to YouTube TV. And now they finally have a way to watch games again without having to just hit up Stream East and figure it out and click a bunch of ads.
Fly the seas. Yeah. And I'm lucky enough where I'm still, going to be able to watch on like MLB TV because as of this recording, I currently do not live in Cincinnati.
Right.
TBD for the 2025 year. So location to be determined, potentially, but it's just also I did feel bad. Like I was a little bit more upset than I am now. I think it's fine. You still got Sadak, you still got Welsh. I think Barry, if Barry can continue improving, like home games won't be as bad because we're Welsh guys here. We've admitted that before. So and then if Jim Day's there, that's really all that matters for me.
feel like Jim Dave's been on TV forever. Like, hell, he's been doing this for like over 20 years, Reds games, it feels like.
I think since like
He's
the
been
mid
out a
90s.
while. Yeah.
And so is Chris Welsh. He's been doing it since like, I think the early 90s, maybe late 80s even.
So the FanDuel production and all that is totally different from Bally, right? It's not like they just kind of took it over. Like maybe you could tell me from watching Blue Jackets games, but I'm looking forward to Steve kind of pretty soon here. We're gonna get some scorebug discourse.
Well, so Rob, it's basically just the same broadcast, but they switched out the Bally logos for FanDuel logos, right?
Basically, yeah. Like the jingle and everything they play before games is still the same.
So
sorry, it's basically it's the same scorebugs and everything. It's just swapped out with the blue FanDuel logo instead of the red Bally logo.
That's disappointing. I'm a big Bally Sports hater as far as I think their scorebug is too big for baseball, and it's weird that it's not at the bottom. It's like freaking in the middle of the screen.
Well, I know like the scorebug for hockey and stuff's the same, I believe, but I'm not sure what the scorebug for baseball is going to look like. But like as far as like the app interface and everything goes, it's the same. It's just the blue FanDuel logo instead of Bally stuff.
Well, and I imagine it's going to be similar for the baseball season. Although, like you said, at least they've maybe improved the stability. I definitely had to like log out and log back in a bunch of times. So at least they improved that. But
we're doing scorebug discourse. How about the scorebug for the Super Bowl? That was god awful.
That's insane. I don't know why they always they try something new for like the biggest games.
Yeah, and everybody hates it. And like that was the only part of the game that was like people were still talking about 2 days later. Like, man, that scorebug was terrible.
But no, the biggest problem I have with Bally, and hopefully maybe they'll fix this. But when you're streaming through the app, they used to have a thing like their first season that they did the coverage. They used to have basically when you pull up the app, it was the option to channel stream, so you're just watching whatever happens to be on the channel, or you click on the actual game and it's just the game broadcast. And whenever we would win, I would usually watch I would want to watch the post game show, and if you're doing the game stream, it shuts you off. And then it takes like a few minutes for them the post game show to like pop up as an option to click on.
Yeah.
And so you miss it or you have to rewind. And then when they did channel stream, it would just go straight into it and you wouldn't get cut off. And sometimes it would be like a long time. And there was like a big win. I was like trying to see the interviews, the celebration, and it would like cut out in the middle of a celebration or an interview sometimes. So I hope they fix that.
I will say watching Blue Jackets games after wins, I do watch the post-game show, and it doesn't take like minutes for it to load anymore. It's like a couple seconds, and it's like right into it. You still have to click out of the game link and go into the like post-game show link, but the transition time isn't that long anymore. It's just like maybe 30 seconds.
I'm 30 now, Rob. We're 30. We can complain about these things. We have adult problems now.
I just want more people to be able to watch this team, man. That's all I want.
True.
Make it simple.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull my friends actually closer to the season and see, because I know there's a lot of them. We have a group chat and like half the group pays for YouTube TV as their main provider, and I'll be interested to see if they're planning on getting the subscription. So more to come there, I'm sure.
Very happy with the subscription so far. So I'm assuming it's going to be much of the same for baseball season. That's my closing thoughts on it.
Good to know. I want to send us back to talking about the team a little bit, kind of on the note of some of the Twitter discussions, but I had a tweet that went kind of viral, relatively micro viral in the as far as that goes, where I commented on Rhett Lauder and what I thought people were under, or there was a national baseball guy, and I thought all of Red's Twitter was just going to get on board and talk shit about this national baseball guy that said Rhett Lauder had kind of a mixed or disappointing first season at the big league level. And I thought that was just an absolutely insane take because he flew through the minor leagues last year. He was like in single A at one point last year. And
he pitched for the Dayton Dragons opening day. I was at that game and I watched him pitch. His very first professional career start.
He had 5 starts at the MLB level and had like a 1.17 ERA. In 3 of those games, he didn't give up a single run. I think it was 1.17.
I thought it was like 6 starts and like a 0.7 ERA or something crazy like that.
Maybe it was even lower. I might be confusing.
We should look this up.
No, here you go. 1.17. He
you're right.
1.9 WAR in just 6 games. And I thought that was a great
plus of 378.
Yeah. And so I made the point that I thought he was actually pretty damn impressive for his cup of coffee, which underwhelming cup of coffee or something along those lines. I should actually just go pull my actual tweet here.
But yeah, I know what you mean though, Don. And I obviously he was like down for a couple days and he's working back into it right now. But just having him as like another option ready to go right out of the gate, like that's huge for the Reds.
I've seen a few projections of him being the number 5 starter going into the season in the rotation this year.
The people that are way too deep in the analytics were unimpressed by him apparently, and it wasn't as much of a dunking on this baseball writer as I thought it'd be. There were some Reds accounts that were like, nah, actually, I got a lot of actuallys from Reds fans. Apparently, when you don't give up a single run in 4 of your 6 starts, but you happen to walk a few guys or you give up a couple base hits still, you're not perfect, and your stuff plus metrics aren't good enough. You know what? Stuff plus doesn't win baseball games. Giving up 0 runs in 6 innings wins baseball games. And he did that, or he gave up 0 runs in at least 5 innings 4 times out of his 6 starts. I think I'll take that every day, even if he walks a few guys. And it's all about projection, and I get that. And it's like, well, maybe he got a little lucky. But to say that he was mediocre or just like not ready for the big leagues, I think is just straight up wrong. Like if we needed him this year and he was our 5th starter or there were some injury problems, I think we would be totally fine. And so to talk about the rotation, there are some injury concerns. I know Andrew Abbott is kind of a little slow to start, working back. So is Nick Lodolo, of course, always a concern. Yeah. And Rhett Lauder himself dealing with a little bit of a setback. Injuries. Who is going to be in this starting rotation? I guess most of the season, if not day one. How do you guys see it shaking out?
Well, before we get like too deep into the rotation, I just want to comment on like Terry Francona's philosophy going into spring training, where he wants to have these guys stretched out to throw 100 pitches at opening day, which I think is just kind of a breath of fresh air, considering like you see guys go to the start of the season and they'd only pitch like 70, 75, 80 pitches in a game. They get yanked after the 4th or 5th inning. So I really like that philosophy going into the season. Obviously, the more pitches or the more innings that your starting pitchers can go to start the season saves your bullpen. So I wanted to comment on that first before we got like too deep into it.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Has that been the franchise just kind of why have we not pushed those guys more? Like even just the fact that Hunter Green was throwing live BP today, I was like, I was a little surprised by that. Sometimes those guys get slow to get started, especially your top end guys. It seems to make sense to me to have them ready to go day one.
So I can't really speak to just the preparation part, but I really do wonder if like the entire organization got spooked by Hunter getting TJ like early on in 2019, and then like maybe they tried to move back from some of that, but I don't really think you can handle these guys like China dolls. They're still baseball players. They're still need to be able to go out and throw, and obviously you get TJ and that's just shit luck sometimes, and if whatever happens. But I do think that like if you can really try to get as much depth as you can out of your guys, then you should be all for it. And honestly, Rob, like having a guy like TITO who wants to prioritize having a better defense and not making as many errors on the field, and I think a big part of that too is getting off the field a lot earlier than you had been in previous years, because that's just extra pitches that your guys have to throw, just adds on to them, and then they're not able to go 6-7 innings. Didn't the Reds have I think like the most errors, or if not, like they're like top 5 in errors last year. Like they did not really have a very good defensive team. And if you're going to be prioritizing ground ball pitching at Great American, because obviously you don't want to prioritize fly ball pitching, you need to have good like fielders there. And obviously Ellie had a couple of tough games, with the errors and such, and Jamer was not as effective. So if that's the way that they're going to pitch, then either we need to start striking more guys out, or we need to have a lot better of a defensive infield. And I think losing Jonathan India and adding Matt McClain or anyone who else who would take second base any day is definitely an upgrade in that defensive spot. So if you think about it that way, like where they have to go, to those different levels just to get guys more length, then I'm all for it. But I think if you want to do that and you want to give your guys length, you have to make good pitches, make command, and also, you have to strike some guys out. So, just to answer the quick rotation question, so Fangraphs, who I've just been going to, they have Green, Singer, Abbott, Martinez, and Lodolo as your starting five. And obviously, we know about Abbott's problems right now. He gained the weight that he lost the weight that
He
Rhett
lost
Lauder gained.
he lost like 20 pounds, I think.
Yeah.
And then Rhett Lauder gained 20 pounds, so they like gave each other.
Nice.
Abbott gave Lauder his 20, but so I would imagine if Abbott's not gonna they're gonna still work him up. He's probably not going to be your third guy. I would say he's probably going to be like 4 or 5. And Lodolo, he's been just injury prone, so I would not be surprised to see him as like your 4th or 5th guy as well. But I think that top 3 of Green, Singer, and Martinez is big, and that's going to win you some games just by having those 3 guys. And by the way, we glossed over Brady Singer a little bit, but we still have Derek Johnson on this staff as
True.
part of TITO's staff. So we love having Derek Johnson here, and I think if there's anybody who can get more out of guys who have come here from different organizations, it's Derek Johnson.
To go kind of touch on your point of Lodolo's injury history, I think it was the Locked On Reds guys were saying that the reason why he's having those injuries was the finger blisters, and the reason why that was because of the way he was gripping the baseball and the way the baseball sat in his hand. And I think he was working on different grip techniques to try to avoid those blister issues he was having that would sideline him for 3 starts or whatever.
Yeah. Man, I mean, Nick Lodolo is one of the best pitchers in baseball when he's on. I just really hope they can avoid the injury problems. But I do feel like we've got a lot of depth this year. Injure Abbott, of course, hopefully he comes in healthy. Lodolo, whether he's in the rotation or not all season, we've got guys waiting in the wings. The fact that we're going to have Rhett Lauder and Chase Burns ready to go in AAA, I think is super exciting. And then, of course, you've got the wild card that we haven't really mentioned yet, Graham Ashcraft. Where does Graham Ashcraft fit in? I believe I heard that they're going to stretch him out as a starter, at least in the initial phase of spring training. Because especially, who knows if one of those guys does get injured or something. You never want to plan for that, but you're kind of planning for it. And having him ready to go as a starter, I think makes sense.
Yep.
Do we have kind of the two-way guy like Martinez was, like a reliever that could pitch like a long relief guy? He could be a great long relief guy.
And honestly, that's what I'm thinking they want to do with Graham,
Absolutely.
right? Because they don't. You're right, Don. They don't really have a guy right now that would be that both ways kind of guy. I do think that they just have a lot of 1 and 2/3 2-inning guys right now. If you wanted to really try to have someone that can just throw a couple innings, maybe Carson Spires, you can call him up and he can be that swing man. I would not be surprised though if Graham is your 5th starter for the first couple of weeks, maybe the first month, if he is better. And obviously we didn't see him at all last year after midway through, so we don't really know what he looks like. And again, by the way, everybody,
he cut some weight too, if I'm not mistaken.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. He arguably lost his job last year, lost his starting role, and he needs to get that back. So I think he's, and guys, don't take anything out of a pitcher's 1 inning in the first 2 weeks of spring training. I kind of want to trust what the guys are seeing in the bullpen sessions when they throw extended games. It's really hard to pick out stuff from 2 innings of pitches in the first couple weeks when guys are just jumping on fastballs. It's everybody's still working on stuff. I would say if you really want to give a take, wait until the last 2.5 weeks of spring training when people are really starting to get into form. And I saw Brandon Williamson in 2023 in the last 2 weeks of spring training, and he gave up like 10 runs in a start. And I was like, oh man, is this guy done? But I mean, shout out to him. He came back and he was really good. So that in that year. So I think if you can get Graham, to be your fourth guy, and you give him 4, potentially 5 innings, and then let your bullpen take over after that, that can really help. While Lauder's probably not going to make opening day. It looks like apparently according to beat reports. And then if Abbott's down too, then you need a guy. So, but I would love to give either Ashcraft or Carson Spires some run. I think Spires would be great. He had a couple of good starts last year as well, and I think he could be that swing guy. Like he can come out and throw 3 innings. They were using him as an opener in some games too. So
right.
And
what I'll say about Graham is that I hope they don't fully commit to him being a starter to the point of sending him to AAA if he doesn't quite crack the rotation. And I think even if you didn't use him as a long man, I think his stuff would really play for 1 or 2 innings at a time. He could just go absolute full effort, not try to be be a thrower more than a pitcher in a way, and just absolutely blow guys away. He's got the stuff to do that. As a starting pitcher, you have to pitch differently. And I think his style could really fit as a reliever. He could be a great back of the game guy.
he kind of has like that bulldog, like FU mentality whenever he gets ramped up. And, I think I heard somebody say he probably like kind of like a nasty boy almost with that mentality. But I think personally, he's probably going to start out in the bullpen and fill that Nick Martinez type role that they signed him for last year. But I do think that a job is going to be there for the taking. That 5th spot's going to be up for grabs, I think. And if he comes out and he proves that he can shove and does it consistently in the spring, I think that 5th starter role might be his.
I wonder if we would consider doing something like a 6-man rotation. But I guess with how much relievers are used these days, you just really wouldn't want to have one reliever down. So
has the 6-man rotation been tried successfully in Major League Baseball?
Basically, just the teams that have Shohei Ohtani, because they don't have to lose a reliever. Essentially, they keep the same number of relievers as everyone else and have that 6th guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
just a little bit of a cheat code there.
Yeah, so I do agree. I think Ashcraft will start the year in the bullpen, and I think he's got some good stuff for that. But you're right, Don. And then also for the Reds, I don't know if you would want to do a 6-man, because then you're extending, you're pushing Hunter Green off another day, and that's a guy that could probably go win you a ball game. So
yeah, I want him pitching as often as possible.
Same with Martinez too. Singer, I want to see first before I give him that credit.
Yeah,
at least Green and Martinez, I'm like, yeah, they'll get you into a game.
I really liked the idea back in the day. That's weird. I can say back in the day now. 4 or 5 years ago, with Trevor Bauer wanting to pitch every 4 days. I wish someone had tried that in the modern age, and I guess he would have been the guy really that was trying to push for that. It's kind of the opposite direction most players are going. But man, imagine if your best starter was pitching 38, 40 starts a year. That would be pretty crazy.
Could also see a scenario with Graham Ashcraft where if he doesn't crack the rotation, I could see the organization or management coming to him and say, hey, if you really want to start games, you're going to have to start games in Louisville, but you have a spot on the team in the bullpen. So you choose what you want to do.
Yeah.
He would take the bullpen, I feel
I'm sure he'd take the bullpen job. I think anybody would.
Yeah.
Stay up in the show versus, going down to the AAA.
That's so important to those
guys.
Going
down to AAA and playing in Indianapolis 4 days a week.
Yeah.
I mean, Rafael Devers is he said no today to moving off of third base. So
yeah, that's crazy.
That's just something fun. This is a good time of year for any storylines you want to pick out from games.
You see that this is not Reds. You see Mike Trout say he's going to move forward in his career being a full-time right fielder now.
I saw that.
Yeah. It is sad.
Our man's getting old.
Yeah. Once he becomes Big Daddy Trout and starts just doing DH hacks, man, he's gonna hit some bombs.
He's gonna keep. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was sad, but you know what? This just means then, tomorrow is as you're listening, audience, it is 38 days from opening day. Rob, you just got your ticket confirmed, or
Yeah.
Did you get your ticket confirmed, or did you get the ability to buy confirmed?
I got the ability to buy tickets confirmed.
Nice. There we go.
You got those tickets assigned yet, Rob?
No, I got my group. I have my group that I'm going with.
Yeah.
I might be able to get my hands on some extra tickets, but I can't confirm that at this moment in time right now.
Yeah, I'll have to text my brother and see if he got in the lottery. I totally missed it, honestly. I forgot to
Same here.
enter into that.
No, I'd kind of forgotten about it too. I had a guy from the Reds ticket office reach out to me directly. And initially I'd asked him, is there any way I can buy opening day tickets? And he said, yeah, there is. They sent me this ticket package where it's you get 4 seats for $1,000 or something like that. They had 4 or 5 different options. They were all over anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 for these ticket packages for opening day, 4 seats. I'm yeah, that's a little out of my price range. I'm you guys are doing the lottery again this year, right? He said, yeah, just here's the link to it. You have to enter your name in by, it was last Friday. So I entered my name in last Friday and got pulled today.
I think I somehow thought I still had time, and I just I remember you talking about that, and I just wasn't able to do it at the time, and it slipped the mind.
Yeah,
a lot of the Bearcats sports are still kind of top of mind right now, but basketball as they struggle to keep hold of their tournament hopes, and unfortunately Bearcats basketball kind of rules my life when they're in season. And now we got Bearcats baseball. Can I mention that real quick? Can we shout out
let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The baseball Bearcats. There's a Cincinnati baseball team playing great baseball right now. They just beat number 11 Duke in 2 and 3 games, and with the one that they lost being a 12-inning loss. And they are now ranked for the first time ever, number 25. So good for them. Looking forward to a good season for them. And they honestly play a super fun brand of baseball that I think I hope is what we can kind of call Cincinnati baseball. I feel it's kind of how the Reds built their team with the young guys recently, with just kind of being a scrappy team, lots of bunts, lots of steals, fast. Every single guy in the lineup is a threat to steal and do something crazy. And I hope they keep it up, man. That's some fun highlights there this last weekend.
Yeah, year 2 of the Jordan Bischel regime. He's got the Bearcats humming right now after opening weekend. I watched the highlights of the first game. Would they have 6 successful bunts in that game, and 3 of them went for hits? The other 3 were sacrifices.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Do you guys see the Duke head coach was upset in the handshake line on Sunday?
No, I didn't see that.
Bunting while we were up 12. I was that's bunt go bird. That's what we do. I'm not really one for monikers or acronyms or stuff, but I do like what he came up with the 10 games approach, and it's just how every letter means something. And I have no idea.
What does 10 games mean? I don't understand.
You'll have to watch the video, Rob. I can't.
Okay.
I can't recall. I'll send it in our chat. I can't recall what it is, but
yeah, because I thought that was the hashtag. I'm it's they played 10 road games to start the season. Doesn't sound right.
Well, so they actually are, which is funny because they were supposed to have a game. Yeah,
Tuesday or next Tuesday got canceled, or technically tomorrow, Tuesday, they got canceled because they're supposed to play Bowling Green.
I don't know why they ever thought that game was going to happen. It's cold as hell out.
It's supposed to snow tomorrow.
I learned about this, Don. Apparently, schools will just schedule a game early just in case the weather's good, and then just because last year they got to play that game because it was 56 in the middle of February. But yeah, if it's obviously then it's bad. You just cancel it. Just either just don't worry about it or reschedule because northern schools just need games too. So and I'm sure maybe the Big 12 was you guys got to have a home game before March. And I'm well, it's Cincinnati in February. I don't know what you want. So the baseball Bearcats are going to be on my side of the country for 2 straight weekends. They're going to be in Las Vegas this upcoming weekend on YouTube. So everybody will be able to watch that game. And then that's my favorite type of sport, Don, is if you're on the East Coast and it's a West Coast game and you go out to the bars and you come back and it's okay, it's 12:30. I'm settling in with some a couple beers and some drunk food, and then the baseball's on until 3:30 in the morning. Personally, that's what I like. So I don't really get to experience that obviously because I'm just on the actual time zone. But so yeah, I think they play at 9:00 Eastern time this weekend, and then they got a 4-game set against UNLV, and then they have another 4-game set the next weekend against UC San Diego. Before they play Toledo. So hopefully they can rack up like a good record. That's been the problem with them, unfortunately. Like, is that they kind of start out and they get their ass kicked for the first few weeks, and then they play well down the stretch, but then they kind of have to like fight against that losing record. So if they can roll up some wins and start with a really
Honestly,
good record,
that sounds kind of like you could be talking about the Reds right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play. I'll make it one proclamation on this show before we really get into our takes episode right before the season. I will not talk about the schedule again. I know we said it last year, but I'm just saying it for everybody. There will be no schedule talk on this year's show.
That's come back to burn us quite a few times.
Pretty much every time. Yeah.
Every time.
Damn near every time.
I'm going to into every game, thinking that every game is going to be hard because the Bearcats, we've seen that every game has been hard for them.
Yeah.
So, well, at least the basketball team. The baseball team.
Excited to follow the Bearcats baseball. Give you some good competitive games to watch, during the month of February and March. And I'm excited to watch the spring training games get going this weekend and forward. I'm sure they put out a TV schedule for those too.
They have not.
Really? I haven't seen one yet.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like, I've been looking for it because I'm like, I want to watch the games, but
it's the first spring training game this Saturday, right?
Well, you know what I look forward to almost more. Yeah, I think so, Rob. Almost more than watching those is the first time you can, of course, listen to a game.
Yeah.
So, that's a good vibe. Get something going on around the house and just have the game on in the background. It's nothing better. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to visiting out west, Steve. Maybe we'll do a pod somewhere around that, or maybe shortly after, kind of recapping that trip. I think that could make sense. And I've been to a few spring training games in Florida, so this is my first Arizona experience. Looking forward to it.
It's a lot of fun, Don.
Yeah, Rob beat me to the trip already, but you went last year, or was it the year before?
Year before, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep, 23 for the World Baseball Classic.
Yep,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I got to work in the World Baseball Classic and then some spring training games. It was kind of a once in a lifetime deal, I felt like.
Yeah. I remember the spring training, it was we were just hyping up the old Elio De La Cruz train, and you guys were getting to see him kind of play against the major leaguers before anybody else was at that point. So
remember Tyler Stevenson played first base too in the spring training game we were at.
Nice.
I was live streaming Ellie at bats. That was where we were at with
That's right.
That's right. He's here, man. Hey, if anything,
we had your now mother-in-law with us, Steve.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go. Hey, Ellie De La Cruz is a Cincinnati Red. No matter what happens this year, if we win 40 games, at least that'll be the case.
Yes, sir. I'm excited. I can't wait.
All right, boys. This has been fun.
Absolutely. Looking forward to doing another one hopefully soon with you guys.
Back to it, man. 27th season. Season 7 of Reds Country Radio is underway.
Unbelievable, man.
Let's keep the hype train going. TITO ball, Reds baseball. We're back. That'll do it for Reds Country Radio. Go Red Legs.
Let's go Reds, boys.
Nice.
All right.